Where were you? Where were you when you realized that LeBron is never going to win another NBA championship? I mean, it's not like the Heat, Cavs, and Lakers legend has much left to prove, right? For many fans, Bron is arguably the best player to ever dribble a basketball, the best player to ever step on NBA hardwood. But the media, the press, and especially fans and social media have created false expectations that will probably never be fulfilled. How is this possible? How is it possible that the King won't have a real chance in the last years of his career? How is it possible after Rob Pelinka, the Lakers GM, has made one of the most unbalanced trades in recent league history? How is it possible that LeBron won't aspire to win the ring when he has a superstar by his side who was able to carry the Mavericks to the NBA Finals? Well, if you give me a few minutes, I'll tell you why. So let's get into it. Let's be honest, LeBron has done something unimaginable during his career. He has been able to dominate in completely different styles of basketball. First, in the dead ball era, where defense was the focus that carried teams to the finals. Then in the three-point revolution, where the Warriors and Rockets changed the game forever. And finally, in the pace and space era, where the league's offenses had to modernize and adapt in order to survive. LeBron has not only survived all these style changes that have ended the careers of many players, but he has also dominated them. And today, he continues to break records that seemed unattainable. A resume that can only be considered worse than that of one player in the entire history of the game. But things have changed. Yes, the man is still a top 15-ish player in the whole league, as evidenced by his more than likely selection to the All-NBA third team. But at the same time, he is no longer that dominant player, that player capable of carrying any group of players to the finals. For a team to function today with his ball-dominant style, it has to be specifically built around him. And the Lakers, when Rob Pelinka made what would be the most important decision of his career as GM, ignored this aspect. Or rather, maybe, he didn't give it much importance. The arrival of Luka Doncic gave the Lakers even more star power, even more offensive ammunition, more impact and reach on a global level in the marketed world we live in today. But at the same time, it completely destabilized the team. Anthony Davis wasn't just an offensive superstar. He's also one of the best defenders in the entire NBA. His importance on both sides of the court was indispensable for the Lakers to compete. Proof of this is the team's performance during the stretches of the seasons when he was injured. Without their defensive anchor, the Lakers were destined to fall in the first round to the Minnesota Timberwolves, a young, athletic team with a strong inside presence. The absence of a big man capable of protecting the rim and the paint for the Lakers allowed players without the significant offensive role in Minnesota to shine. Proof of this is the performances of Jaden McDaniels throughout the series, or Rudy Gobert's career legacy game in the decisive Game 5. The Lakers needed someone, and after the failed trade for Mark Williams, no one could fill that role. In fact, what guarantees were there that the Hornets center would be enough? How do we know that with Mark Williams' presence, the season would have ended differently? Big men like Davis don't grow on trees. It's not something you can skimp on. They are highly valued assets by the rest of the league. And as such, their price is always very high. Yes, specifically, one Luka Doncic. Finding a player who can become the answer this team needs is a desire shared by half the league every summer. But that desire becomes impossible when we take a look at the Lakers' payroll. Luka Doncic and LeBron James will earn a combined $97 million next season. That's more than 2/3 of the team's salary cap. Even with superb management, filling the rest of the roster spots with just $40 million seems virtually impossible. This situation is even more dramatic considering that the new CBA has further restricted teams' maneuverability. So the Lakers, a team without many draft assets and whose mid-value contracts, except Reeves, are not attractive, have everything to lose in the market. Not only in free agency, but also in the star auction that the NBA has become in recent years at the trade deadline. Rob Pelinka may have gotten lucky once, but it's unlikely to happen again. Finding a center who's good enough is not going to be possible. We have to accept reality. Rob Pelinka wasn't thinking about LeBron when he said yes to Nico Harrison. James himself said he had no idea the trade was going to happen. And this is evident simply by observing that the team is completely unbalanced after the move. The Lakers have 3 scoring and playmaking stars. In 2 of those cases, we could say superstars, who overlap in many aspects of their skill sets. The Lakers have 2 players who can run an offense, but both are wasted if they don't have the ball in their hands. Meanwhile, the paint remains desolate. They had to use versatile defenders such as Finney-Smith or Jared Vanderbilt as centers to get out of trouble. A decision that not only wastes their defensive talent, but also leaves them severely lacking against a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Because even though many people criticize and mock Gobert, if he had switched teams to play in the series, I'm sure the winner would have been different. The only reality is that Bob Pelinka made that trade for the future of the Lakers, because you never turn down a 26-year-old generational superstar, a player who is just entering his prime with a cult following that gives the most relevant basketball team in the world even more relevance. Luka is going to be the savior of the franchise in the future, that's clear. But it feels like the Lakers are thinking more about how they're going to invest LeBron's contract money when he's gone than how to improve the team today. Is this fair? Probably not. But basketball, especially when business is involved, has never been fair.